Hi everyone, welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode 100. Today we're going to have a roundup of what's been going on. I've been away for a while and we're going to have a look at some film reviews. I went to see Nosferatu and Wicked at the cinema recently. So grab a cup of tea, get comfy, put some incense on and we'll explore the Witching Week. Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year. If you're new to the channel or to the Witching Week, every Friday we get together for a cup of tea and a bit of a chinwag on witchy subjects and the turning of the wheel. And yeah, just a catch up really. So it's so good to be back having a cup of tea with you all. Let me tell you what that is. I'm having cranberry and raspberry by Twinings. And I'm burning some Zen meditation by Satya, which is a really lovely one. It is so good to be back in the chair and chatting with you guys. It's absolutely fantastic. And it is episode 100. We have to give a nod to that. There was something that I wanted to do that would have been really good fun and really special, but the winter is just not the time to do it. So I needed a break as well. I needed to just take a couple of weeks off from absolutely everything. My body and more importantly, my brain I was just so overloaded from just juggling so much all of the time. So yeah, I'm afraid nothing special happening today other than being here with you all and just saying thank you so much for your support in 2024 and for being here today watching. I'm wishing you all a really fabulous 2025. I hope you had a fantastic Yuletide, whether you celebrate that or not, whether you just got to have a couple of weeks off just to sort of sit a little bit more quietly in this winter period. Whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate, I hope you've had a good few weeks and I hope that this year is a much better year. I know many people struggled in 2024. There was some huge astrology going on and it seemed like it was a real big sort of transitional year, a year of lessons, just a year of really difficult things for just so many people. So yeah, let's hope 2025 is a much better year. It sounds a bit more rounded, doesn't it? I like the even years, the even numbers, but quarter of a century, 25 years. Can you believe that? I can remember it being New Year's Eve on 1999 going into 2000. And yeah, that was 25 years ago. Absolutely mental. So yeah, here's to 2025. So how was your Yuletide? If you celebrate, I imagine you do if you're watching this channel. How was it? And what about the solstice itself? Did you do anything special? I'd love to know. For us, we just got up, we were at home. I was up before everyone else on that particular morning and I watched the sunrise at Stonehenge live. So they broadcast that. So I watched that, which was really nice. Then the kids got up. It was their Christmas with us. We always have them the weekend before Christmas. So it's a few days before and then they're with their mum. And that was really nice. So we had a roast dinner on that day and they had their presents. And yeah, we've just felt really festive. And then we had our moot party in the evening, which was absolutely fantastic. So very festive from the solstice onwards. We then spent Christmas Eve with my parents and we saw these lovely horses outside their local pub where we went for a drink. They turned up and they had their Christmas drink before they went on their way back to their stables. And we just sort of played games and just had a really fun time. And then Mr. Cemetery and I went home early evening and got a relatively early night, to be honest. And then Christmas Day and Boxing Day was spent with my lovely brother-in-law and it was just all very lazy, very restful. There was a lot of eating, a lot of food and just a lot of lazing about. And I have to say, even though it did me good, I have to say that I just felt more tired really than I do normally. So yeah, it's good having a break. It's good being able to go to bed when you want and get up when you want. But I find that very quickly we sort of slip into not even bad habits because we were up at a reasonable time each day, but just felt, very lethargic. very lethargic, and obviously it's the darkest part of the year at the moment, isn't it? So yeah, very tiring, but at the same time very restful, and just the reset of batteries that we need. One of my highlights of the Yuletide period was seeing these shops, or this shop in particular in Uppingham, decorated traditionally, so with all the greenery around the outside of the shop. I just thought this, yeah, just absolutely brilliant, and that is how things used to be. So how are you feeling about the new calendar year? Do you consider that to be the beginning of your year, or do you tend to go with nature's new year, which is the spring equinox? I know many people have different views on this. I've seen lots of posts on Instagram this week saying it's okay if you don't want to put new things into motion, or you don't consider this to be the start of the new year, because nature's new year is in spring. That is the proper time. And again, I think we need to move away from saying that anything is a definite. I very much look at the beginning of the calendar year as more of a practical start. So for the things that I want to measure, for example, so that might be achievements or goals, or things that I'm aiming for, or things that I want to start, I do find that January is a really, really helpful time. Now, some of those things, for example, I've set myself the task of losing weight. I've put on a lot of weight from not being very mobile because I'm waiting for heart surgery. And yes, it's not the most brilliant time, January, when it's cold and you just want to eat comforting, stodgy, heavy foods. But for me, the way my brain works, it works brilliantly to know that I've got that cut-off point, which is very, very easy to remember. There is a significant change, so it does feel like a beginning, but absolutely spring would be a better time to implement some sort of healthy change to your diet or your lifestyle. But I think we need to be very careful not to get into absolutes, and I see a lot of that at the moment, and that's quite frustrating. So yes, absolutely, the spring equinox really is nature. Well, it's not really nature waking up. That's happening all the time. I do think we have to be careful not to sort of make these 8 points in the wheel of the year too rigid. They're a period of time. There's a lead up to them, and there's a lead away from them, and then the lead into the next one. It is an ever turning circle. So yes, while I agree that many of us feel much more inspired at the spring equinox, much more able to implement stuff, we're more comfortable because in the northern hemisphere it's getting lighter and brighter and therefore warmer. But I think we have to be careful not to say that, no, you can't do this then, it should be done then. It depends on the individual person and what motivates them to put changes in place. I actually believe in taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and implementing changes whenever you feel that they're needed. However, sometimes things just won't happen. Like, I've been trying to diet now for probably 6 months and it just hasn't been the right time. And yet for me, this time, it wasn't doing it in the moment. It was actually waiting to a threshold point or a liminal point, or the point at which something changes, and that for me was the beginning of the calendar year. So how are you feeling about it? Is this a good time for you? Are you like me? Is it a great time for implementing change, or do you tend to just do it whenever, or have you got a date in your year that you like to treat as January the 1st, for example? I've definitely set myself, so again, I don't have New Year's resolutions. I don't consider the changes I've made to be a New Year's resolution. They're not. This is just a helpful point in the calendar for me when I've implemented that change. I have decided that I need to approach things with a lot more balance. I do have a very big workload to get everything running that I need to run for the Cemetery Witch, but I'm definitely going to approach this with a lot more balance, and I'm not going to stress over things, even if other people try to sort of implement that stress in me. I'm giving 100% of myself, if not more, and if it's not enough for other people, then they'll have to deal with that. It's a them problem, not a me problem. So I am a human, I'm not a machine, and I definitely got to the point in December December where I was feeling like a machine, behaving like a machine, and sometimes being treated like a machine. And I'm not, I'm a human being. I'm someone that experiences joy and sadness. I laugh, I cry, and I've learned a lot of lessons in 2024, not all of them good. And I know that many of you feel the same. So here's to an absolutely fantastic 2025, however you feel about the turn of the calendar year, and we'll see what comes up. And on this topic, I saw this image in the week, it came up, and I thought I would share it because I thought it is really, really helpful. It's called 12 things that you can take from therapy. I haven't got the image in front of me right now, but the two that are sort of standing out to me in my memory from that is your body keeps the score. And absolutely, that was a lesson that I learned at the end of 2024, and that we are not responsible for other people's happiness, no matter how tempting it is to fall into that trap or to think that we are in some way. We're not. It's up to other people to find their happiness. And that's not to say that, we should be awful to people. That's not to say that we shouldn't try our hardest in relationships. That's not to say that we shouldn't do the bit that we need to do to be good people and to make relationships work. But we are not responsible for other people's happiness. It is up to them to find that. So as you know, on the Witching Week, every year I pick a word of the year. This year has been no different. It took a little while for me to find my word. I'm saying that we're not that far into January, but in previous years I've actually decided on my word just before we've got into January, but it's taken me a week into January to decide what my word's going to be. So in 2023 I had patience. That was probably the wrong word to choose. I can't remember if I actually chose that at the beginning of the year or whether I chose that sort of like halfway in or what. I can't remember the circumstances of how I came to start picking a word, so there's every possibility that was a few months in with that one. But 2024 I chose success, which I think applies, but it gave me a very positive mindset for moving forwards. For 2025, I guess reflecting on where I was at come December, at the end of the year, I decided that my word would need to be nourish. So I am choosing to nourish my mind, my body, my soul. It's definitely helping me on my weight loss journey. Between me and you, I've got 2 stone that I've put on, which is an awful lot of weight. I am taking that back to the lightest weight that I have been as an adult, and I was there a few years ago, but I was also exercising and really looking after myself and walking a lot, and obviously I've not been able to do that, which is why I've put so much on. But I would say even just losing 1 stone would be a normal weight for me within my normal range. So by choosing the word nourish, I am reminding myself of this when I am picking what foods I'm putting in my body. It's really helping me make that transition and remind myself that I'm not punishing myself, I'm nourishing myself. So I've chosen nourish, but it goes beyond that, doesn't it? It's also like, what else are you nourishing yourself with in terms of what you're watching, the people that you talk to, the things that you do from day to day. Are you choosing to nourish? So taking 10 minutes out to have a cup of tea. Do you like my new mug, by the way? My mum bought me this for Christmas. But yeah, how are we nourishing ourselves? So have you picked a word? I'd love to know. You guys have let me know over the years the word that you've picked. I know that many of my beautiful patrons have picked their word. I think perhaps I should share that out of chat. We've got a little chat group, which is fantastic. But anyway, I know that quite a few of them have picked their word. So I'd love to know. I'd love to know what your word is. And talking of Patreon, we've got great things coming up. I thought I'd let you know. So in January, we are continuing our themes of Imbolg, which is obviously at the beginning of next month, and new beginnings. So we've been talking about planning activities, a whole year of activities for the Sabbats, the Wheel of the Year. We have had a new beginnings floor wash, and we have got a self-gratitude jar, so it's a gratitude jar, but with a twist or two coming up, which includes a ritual, which is only available on Patreon. The first part of it I'm going to put here onto YouTube. We've got rites and rituals coming up in February, so if you want to make a dedication as a witch and officially declare it, pick your magical name and activate that name. And we're also looking at things like robe and ritual jewelry dedication and activation. So there's a lot going on in terms of rites and rituals in February, and then in March, as the energy picks up and it gets warmer and lighter and brighter and things start to bloom, we're going to be looking at plant magic, which I know is a favourite for many people within witchcraft. What else have we got going on? Oh yeah, and I've started tarot readings. So you can now get a tarot reading online or via email from me. And I'm also offering readings in person in Rutland, which is great for the Lincolnshire, Leicestershire, Rutland and Northamptonshire area. I'm doing that out of a building in Burley. I will put more information in the description box, and yeah, it would be lovely if you could come and see me and we'll have some tarot together. Go to my website for more details. That's probably the best place to go because you can see all of my offerings on there. So we went to see Nosferatu last week. Have any of you seen it? What did you think? Now, personally, I am a Robert Eggers fan. I absolutely love his work. He usually has a blend of like horror and folklore and mythology, and he works really, really hard to ensure historical accuracy and authenticity. So really, really love his films. He did The Witch, he did The Lighthouse, and he did a film called The Northman. You've probably seen it. We've watched The Northman, I think, 4 or 5 times. He has absolutely fantastic actors and actresses. He's quite fond of Willem Dafoe, who's one of my favourite actors. And in The Northman, he had Bjork. And Nosferatu obviously is a film from 1922. It's a bit like Haxan, which I reviewed recently on the Witching Week. And basically, if you enjoy gothic horror, vampires, Dracula, visually striking scenes and costumes and sets, if you like Robert Eggers, of course, if you like the Victorian period, then this is for you, basically. It was so atmospheric, and Lily Rose Depp, she was absolutely brilliant. I was fairly I did have that view that, you know, oh, is she going to be any good just because she's Johnny Depp's daughter? Has she just been given a job because of him? But no, she was really, really good. There was Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Ralph Ineson, who I didn't actually recognise visually. It was his voice, and the whole way through I thought, surely that's him, surely that's him. He looked really different, I think just where he's getting older. I don't know if they did something special to his face, but he looked completely different. And yeah, absolutely brilliant. 9 out of 10. I would actually like to go and see that again. That's how much I enjoyed it. But I find as well with a lot of films, especially Robert Eggers films, that it's good to watch them maybe 2 or 3 times because you spot things that you didn't spot before. So it might be something visual, or it could just be that you work something out, you know, the film just deepens for you. And so yeah, absolutely brilliant. Would definitely not hesitate to see it again. There are some good films coming up actually. There is 28 Years Later, which I really want to see because I saw 28 Weeks Later, 28 Months Later, was it? I thought the second one was 28 years. Like, no, it was 28 weeks, 28 days, wasn't it? 28 days, 28 weeks, and now it's 28 years. I've seen the trailer for it. Not actually sure that I was that impressed. They tried to be really clever with the trailer. I don't know, but I love that franchise. I absolutely loved those films back in the day because they were quite a long time ago. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I see there is The Hunt for Gollum, which is coming out in 2026. I can't say that I'm drawn in very much by the thumbnail. I know you should never judge a book by its cover, for example. I haven't seen a trailer for that one, but anything to do with The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, I'm there. And there is also also Wicked Part 2 coming out. I think possibly, is it 2025? Is it beyond? I wasn't sure on a date on that one. But yeah, we went to see Wicked. So here is my second review. My husband took me to see Wicked, which I was really surprised at. I didn't think in a million years that he would want to go and see that, and he didn't really, but he said he would take me. He knew it was about witches, that's all he knew. Neither of us have seen the stage show. I would say it was good. I would not watch it again, and that is just because it's just not my type of film. It's a musical, and I'm not against musicals at all, but I found that there was a whole hour of singing and dancing before we really got into the plot. That's what I took from it. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are absolutely fantastic. They were brilliant together. They were brilliant in their roles. I absolutely adored them, especially Cynthia Erivo. But I'm not an Ariana Grande fan in terms of music. And I knew that the film would be, I don't know how to describe it, very sort of like popular culture, which is just not me really. It's not my thing. I just didn't really enjoy, I mean, I did enjoy it. I'm glad that I've seen it. I'm glad that I'm able to talk about it. But it's not something I'd rave about. It's not something I'd go and see again at the cinema. It's not something I'd watch at home. For me, it went on for too long, and it was just a bit too twee. And obviously it's fantasy, you know, it's not serious witchcraft, and that's fine. I absolutely loved The Wizard of Oz as a kid, and for me the two just don't go together. And I know you have to move with the times. I know that, but yeah, it just didn't hold my attention really. I fell asleep, which most of the time I do anyway in the cinema because I'm so fatigued. However, there was not enough to keep me awake, and I fell asleep and I woke up and I hadn't really missed anything of the plot. I did love Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande and their acting. I mean, it was brilliant. I would say go and see it, or make sure you see it, even if it's just the once. It is definitely worth a watch, and I did find it quite moving at times. There was a couple of times when I was moved to tears. I was amazed at how many songs I recognised from it, from watching little clips on Instagram where people have used music from it. There were probably about 4 or 5 songs. I was like, oh my goodness, I know this, and I never would have known they were from Wicked. I can see how people would love it and really be super fans over it, but again, it was not my type of film. The way they did it, just the themes, just the way it was laid out, I guess, is just not my cup of tea. But at the same time, fantastic film. I can totally see why people dig it. And I don't know if she's watching, but there's someone I know who's on my Patreon, who went with her children, and she dressed up as Elphaba, which is the Green Witch, played by Cynthia Erivo, and she was in full cosplay and she looked absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I think I enjoyed that more than the actual film, but you need to see it and you need to judge it for yourself. Same with Nosferatu. Don't take my feelings and my reviews. Don't let that influence what you think, because you might absolutely love it. And it was a brilliant production, it was. So books, moving on to books now. Did you get any books for Yule? I would love to know. We never get tired of talking about books here on the Witching Week, do we? I had some interesting ones. I had The Discovery of Witchcraft. I had a book called Dreams of Witches, which apparently is written by the lady who owns Treadwell's in London. I think that's correct. I've got A Treasury of Folklore. I've got Wicca in the Kitchen, which is a Scott Cunningham book, because I've got most of his, except I didn't have that one. And I had a few others as well. So I am going to do a video on those. You will be able to see it first on Patreon, and then it will air over here on YouTube. And I'm also doing diaries and almanacs, so stay tuned for those. So we're going to do some cards now. It's so lovely to be back. It's so lovely to be in the chair. Usually I record this in a one-hour, first take usually, but it did take me maybe 4 or 5 today, because I'm out of practice. It doesn't take long at all. Let me know what you got up to over the Yule period. Oops, I would love to hear. I thought I'd use some different cards today. They're a bit bigger than my Rider-Waite. I prefer reading with my Rider-Waite. They're my sort of my ultimate deck, but I absolutely love this deck. It's the Druidcraft Tarot, but they're a lot harder to shuffle because they're so big. You have to take a bit more time. Okay, so we've got 4 cards for today. We have got the 8 of Pentacles, we've got the 6 of Pentacles, we have got number 4, the Emperor, and we have got the Sun. In this deck, he's called the Lord instead of the Emperor. So this is all about working hard at whatever it is you do. It might be that you've got a period of study coming up. It might be that you've got some training, or you're just simply working really, just absolutely flat out at whatever it is you do to really master your art or your craft. A period of hard work coming up. Now, I think we all feel like that. We've all had a bit of a break, or most of us anyway. I know some people work around the clock, don't they, if they work in hospitals or retail or hospitality, things like that. But there is a period of hard work coming up where you are really going to define what it is that you do and really pin it down and really become good in that, become really confident, and perhaps really enjoy what you do. You acknowledge that this is a time where you have to do that, and you've got the strength to do that, and that is a choice that you are going to make. And this is going to lead you to a situation where you have plenty to share out. You're going to be able to help people, not just with money or skills, but with time and energy. You're going to feel like that you have plenty to offer to other people, perhaps in your community or your family and friends, and you're going to be able to help and be generous and offer that out. But it's really important that you don't give out more than you're able to. You yourself have to remain sustainable. You have to make sure that your basic needs are met first, and that you've got everything you need, and only then can you take on this generous position of helping people out. And you've come to this realization over time. Perhaps you weren't so good with money before, or perhaps you were someone that just gave so much of yourself that you would leave yourself completely depleted, and over time you've matured and you've come to realize that that actually isn't the way. Giving so much of yourself that you've got nothing left for yourself and those immediately around you is not the way to do things. So through this period of time where you're working hard, where you're being generous with your time, and you're being sort of super on top of things and super organized and super methodical and taking that really sort of mature stance, you are then going to be rewarded by a beautiful, fruitful, happy, joyous time where you really get to enjoy this. You really get to enjoy the fruits of your labour, and it's all just going to fall into place for you. This is your moment to shine, really, and to have your time in the sun. So yeah, what a lovely message for the week ahead. So yeah, wishing you an absolutely wonderful week ahead. Welcome back, thank you for watching, and if you got this far, thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you next Friday on our next episode of the Witching Week. Take care for now, love and blessings.